Good morning. The scripture this morning comes from the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 6, verses 19 to 21. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures buried in the ground, a place where rust and moth destroy, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves a treasure in heaven, where neither rust nor moth destroys, and where thieves do not break through and steal. For where your treasure is, there also is your heart. And from the first book of Corinthians, chapter 13. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not love in my heart, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy, and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith, so that I could remove mountains, and have not love in my heart, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, and have not love in my heart, I gain nothing. Love is long-suffering and kind. Love does not envy. Love does not make a vain display of itself, and does not boast, does not behave itself unseemly, seeks not its own, is not easily provoked, thinks no evil, rejoices not over iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is imperfect shall come to an end. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a mirror, darkly, then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know even as also I am known. And now abide faith, hope, love, these three, but the greatest of these is love. And so ends the reading for this morning, and now Dr. Lyle will give us our lesson for today.
Hello, good morning. Okay, so it's an interesting morning for me. Easter's around the corner. Next Sunday is Palm Sunday, and so we have to be looking forward to the concept of Easter and what's about to happen. Certainly what's happening in the Christian world, and I don't know, in the circles that I travel, not much has been discussed about Christianity, but in the last week, all of a sudden, there's all kinds of discussions going on, at least in my world, with people, and I'm not sure why that's taken place, but I think it's a concept or an idea of getting ready for Easter, or perhaps the cycle of the year and the way that we live. Certainly for my life, I do the best that I can not to keep it very structured, organized, and disciplined in terms of having all sorts of plans, events, dates, calendars, and let me get my book, and next month on Thursday I have a free day. I try not to do that. I try as best that I can to allow things to unfold on a regular basis, and I guess maybe I'll give you a little instance of that, and seems to be how it goes sometimes. There are times periodically I don't follow the dates too closely, and I have some confusion with regard to what's happening. And this morning, I'm fully aware that Friday was the 19th. I had a court appearance on Friday that I had to take care of, but for some reason, when I got up this morning, I decided that today was the 28th of March. So in the matter of a day, I'd certainly moved in 9 days ahead or whatever it was in the calendar. And, I was looking up Palm Sunday. And just as I opened up the website and there was Palm Sunday, looking into that, and my goodness, here we are and we have all of this to do. I get a phone call. And I, maybe one of the reasons that I had that is I set appointment, with another person that, in looking at their calendar, they saw yesterday as April 1st coming up this week, and we had to have this business meeting tomorrow in preparation for this April 1st date that was coming up. So maybe that was the reason. But anyway, I got a call from them this morning that said, that April 1st isn't this week, it's next week. We have a whole week and a half. And of course, by then I was firmly entrenched in the idea that this was March 28th today, and certainly not the 21st. So I asked them if they were sure, if they were very sure. And I asked them where they got this information. But, and then I thought, well, I can open up my cell phone and see what it says on the front of it, right? That'll take care of the situation for me. But then it made sense to me, since I remembered on Friday I was in court, and that was the 19th. So all I'm saying is there's these little universes, these little reminders in the universe that let me know when it's time to do something, or past time, or that if I'm ahead of myself. And I get ahead of myself, quite a bit, for whatever that reason is. And I guess it's in opposition to Krishnamurti's things. I sometimes like to think that I can affect change, but as time goes on, I am more and more prone to the idea that maybe we don't affect change. That's all going to happen regardless of us, and regardless of our input, and regardless of what we do. And that, there may be change that takes place, but is that change as a result of a natural inbuilt thing toward evolution, as we're part of the ongoing body and structure of God, of this created force? Is that part of an ongoing cycle? And are we really pushing forward anything? Or have we, just because we've come to a certain point in our existence, in our growth as souls, that we now think in a fashion that allows this to continue to unfold? And I'm beginning to think that that's the reason, is that somewhere, and I know there are decisions made along the way, that there are points that we look at our lives or we look at ourselves, and I'm sure this happens no matter how many rounds of body that we have or we go through. There's always what I want to call a catalyst point that we come to, and we go, okay, I'm going to start traveling this road now. Kind of like Robert Frost here with the road diverging in the woods, and you've been going down this path, and you decide that you're now making a shift. Now, whether that is part of a natural evolutionary process, because you've been through enough things that shows you that the path you're on doesn't work anymore, or some sort of infusion or enlightenment that allows you to say, well, maybe if I head this way, something different. I don't know what that is about. I do know that we do make certain moves or shifts, at least if we're a being that's conscious and alive and is looking to continue to grow, that there are shifts that we make. And then I do know that the result of that shift, or that decision process to go in a slightly different direction, then takes time to unfold.